Hello Internet, welcome to this week's new coffee release, which is a natural processed Red Catuai from Brazil. On the table today I have 3 different roast profiles, of which I'm going to taste my way through, describe the different roasts and the outcome on the table, and also how I feel that you should brew them. If you're new here, my name is James. I am the roaster and owner of Blending Room based in Hull, East Yorkshire, and on a weekly basis, I stand here in the internet and tell you about the coffees that I'm releasing. What we'll do now is just get straight into the roast profiles. So on the screen, you will see 3 different batches of this natural process Red Catuai coffee from Brazil. And what I've done is, actually a few days back, I had spent a couple of hours of my life doing an online tutorial or an online roasting class that had some degree of inference on air roasting. The Loring is predominantly an air roaster, and I recognized that maybe I should be applying heat differently. So this week I thought, what I'll do is I'll add in an experimental batch alongside the 2 batches that I require for our subscribers and our internet customers. As you'll see, there are 3 different heat applications, 2 of which are broadly similar and 1 that is marketably different. The different one is a first trial at what people describe as a pyramid heat application, and this is to mimic heat that you would apply through drum roasting. I'll do a little video based on that later on. Today's not the day for it, but what I am going to do is I'm going to begin tasting these coffees to see which is preferable, and hopefully in a bit of tomfoolery and jiggering around I have managed to disguise which is which. I did that over the past couple of days. Cupping blind is a super difficult thing to do when you're a one-man QC team. Anyhow, let's dig in. First, I'll smell the coffee to see if there's an aroma preference, and then I'll get into the cupping. So, to smell. So with this, I would say that cup 1 has a more stark nose to it, and cup 3 smells the most muted. So if I had a preference on aroma so far, cup number 1, with cup number 2 in the middle being second best, and cup number 3 on the end being the 3rd most preferable. So anyhow, let's get stuck into the tasting. I've gone through all 3 cups now, and I'm pretty certain that this is the anomaly cup, which is the middle of the 3 batches. These 2 cups are broadly the same. There is a nice peachy characteristic, there's good texture, there's a well-pronounced sweetness, and there's good clarity. This cup here has a very similar flavor profiling, but there's just a slightly different presentation, and it's a different presentation against this grouping, which is what to me is indicating that it is the anomaly. Now, the question is, do I have a preference to this flavor delivery versus the other 2? It's difficult to say at this point in time. The reason being is that over the past 6 months, I have been very used to cupping coffee that is produced in this sort of mantra, and I've got to try and deduce whether this coffee is a better, more preferred application of heat. And notwithstanding the fact that this was my first batch of it, and I'm guaranteed that I can do a better heat application or do a better roast. So this is more a proof of concept or a first trial, and there's nothing that I can taste in this that I would say is wrong, which is great. It means that this batch, should I wish, is saleable. We're a small business and we have to try and account for that. But as far as the learnings go, yes, I could improve this, no doubt. And so far, there's no stark reason for me to transfer away from the standard roasting that I have been doing, which is a very even application of heat through time. What to do with this now? This is the thing with roasting coffee, is that there's many moments of your life that you're debating routes forward. You don't want to be fiddling around with recipes too often because, you know, that can just be a bit of a pain. But of course, you want to be making forward steps each production day so that you become a better roaster. I'll think on about this one. Anyway, let's just talk briefly about the coffee and how I think you should brew it. So, based on its country of origin and its method of processing, I would strongly suggest that this would be a great cafetiere brew. So lots of texture, lots of body, and a way to be able to really pull forward the sweetness inside of your cup. It has a very balanced delivery of acidity. So for those of you who enjoy espresso or milk-based or milk alternative-based drinks, this will be right up your street. There's a honeyed note in there which would pair very well with milk. So that's great if you're into that thing. I've had a filter brew this morning as well, and that's been really delicious too. Now, Brazil coffees are particularly uncomplicated as a notion. However, this one just is exceptionally well balanced. It's a really well produced coffee. Anyway, to recap, James is in a state of conundrum whereby I don't really know which way I'm going to go forward with this. So what I'm going to do is select and isolate some bags of this, rest the coffee through periods of time, and maybe come back to this this trio next week and review once again to see whether each or any of the coffees have opened up some. Right, I think that's it. I've talked about the coffee, which is delicious. I've talked about the roast approach, and I've also mentioned the way I think you should brew it. So, as usual, I hope you've enjoyed the video. I hope this has been informative. Do let me know if there's anything else you want me to discuss or describe on these weekly tasting videos. And until next time, have a great week.